to Winning the Division, episode number 38. I am your co-host, Ryan Smith, alongside former NFL tight end Ben Troupe, former national champion of the University of Florida, the Gators, the champions of the basketball world. Just wanted to make sure everyone remembers that. A lot of Gators drafted over this weekend in the NFL draft. My Panthers got a few of those Gators, along with some of the other teams throughout the league. We'll get to them. Ben, how you doing? NFL draft is come and gone, and teams are signing undrafted free agents, and it seems like the season's right around the corner, except it's not. We still got like 4 months to go.
The draft, I mean, I know it was a lot of controversy. I know we'll get to it. It was, the draft was it was anything but lackluster. I think sometimes, really, we be so amped by the draft, and we get that, it seems like the first round take freaking 3 days to get through. But I enjoyed it, all 7 rounds. I think that we talked about, we had a bunch of draft analysts on talking about, the running backs, the wide receivers. It was some surprises. I'm not going to lie. It was some surprises, some things that stood out. But all in all, I enjoyed it. Draft coverage has become, one of the best times when it comes to football, because you're going to get the Mel Kippers of the world. You're going to get different opinions all throughout. Reese Davis, he had some things to say. But I enjoy the Lewis Riddicks of the world. The guys are doing a good job. I enjoy the healthy banter back and forth, because for those who have never done the draft before, which is most of us, it's bigger than just talking about the players that get drafted. It's talking about, what led up to them getting drafted, with it. Give us some backstory. I mean, you got to make sure you got plenty of water, plenty of Gatorade, because it's going to be wall to wall. But all in all, Smitty, I enjoyed it. It's still the biggest spectacle when we talk about like pro sports and pro sports drafts. But I enjoyed it. If you got drafted, congratulations. If you didn't get drafted, you are a free agent. Congratulations to that, because once again, there are certain players that never heard their phone ring or never got a call back, and they're getting ready to potentially be in the CFL, the UFL, or XFL, or whatever you want to call it. But 250 some guys heard their name called. And Florida, man, shout out to my alma mater, man. We had 7 guys drafted. And people say, well, Ben, it's Florida. Well, in 2024, we had 1 guy. So to go from 1 to 7 shows that Billy Napier's, making some strides down there. Now we even gonna get to Smitty. Smitty get to add a couple of guys from from G-ville, to that. What you call it? What? How would you? Because with the Titans we call it two-tone blue.
Process in blue.
Huh?
Process in blue.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I would agree. Some surprises, some disappointments, and everything in between. But let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start kind of doing a round table. We'll start with the AFC East. So Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, and the New England Patriots. Again, we're not going to go like, here's who Buffalo did, here's who New England did. We're not going to do all that, people, but we're going to give you kind of our thoughts on each division and kind of each team's overall thoughts on as a whole from each division. So sticking to the AFC East first, I thought Maxwell Harrison from Kentucky, one of the more underrated players in the first round. Buffalo got him. Congratulating players as they walked out of the green room. We talked about that in our special episode on Friday. Miami Dolphins, personally, I did not like a lot of their draft. Just being honest, I know they got Ollie Gordon II, who's a good player. Jason Marshall Jr. from Florida is also a good player, but didn't really like their draft all that much. New England, Will Campbell sticks out. Trevion Henderson, Kyle Williams from Washington State, some of the guys that stick out there. And then from the Jets, I think they had an okay draft, in my opinion. Mason Taylor and Armand Member were the 2 biggest names. Tackle from Missouri and tight end from LSU. Mason Taylor is the son of Jason Taylor, former Jets and Dolphins legend, and Zach Thomas is his nephew, is his uncle.
His uncle, yes.
Yeah. So the AFC East as a whole, I would say of the teams in this division, I would say the best draft probably belonged actually to the New England Patriots. Actually, I thought of all if I had to just, I'm not going to give them grades. I just think of the 4 teams, just looking at who they got, I'd say the Patriots probably did the best out of this division. So thoughts on the AFC East?
I mean, I agree with a lot of your sentiments. I mean, I think when you get a guy, like Harrison, I mean, because you got to be able to add. When I think about the AFC East, I mean, I think of DBs. You got to be able to cover those guys because let's face it, Buffalo. I want to say Buffalo had the number 1 offense,
correct,
in the league last year, right? So so being able to add, guys like Maxwell Harrison, who's going to help you with guys like Tyreek Hill, because he's gonna be thrown in the fire. Now, the Jets needed so much, right? And I get it. You talk about Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor. I think for the Jets, it's going to be about how all these draft picks gel, because the Jets are the bottom feeders of the NFC. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. Even if New England's having a rebuilding season, that Mike Vrabel, he's not going to stay there. Here's the thing about Buffalo that you didn't read, Ryan. Their GM had to go on. GMs go on.
Yeah, I was going to let you talk about it because I figured you were going to say it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? That's how I figured out they were the number 1 offense. I don't know the name of the show, Joe and something. It's a local Buffalo radio show that the GM is. He's probably obligated to go on. He's probably
former Carolina Panthers assistant general manager Brandon Beane, now the general manager in Buffalo.
He didn't like the sentiments. I mean, I'm not going to use the word that he was using, but he was saying that y'all was. I'm gonna use the word mention. You could just put a B for the M, and he didn't like the fact that going in they was talking about everything but the offense, and they were saying that, yeah, man, while you did some good things, you didn't really address the wide receiver position. And Beane was like, look, we was the number 1 offense. We scored 30-some points 8 games in a row. You know what? I was really talking about him, though? They were saying, yeah, but it don't matter if you ain't winning the games that matter. Like, I get regular season. I get the regular season trophy, and we got the MVP. Okay, and where did the MVP watch the Super Bowl from? The house. So while Buffalo is the AFC East front runner every year, because they got, Josh Allen, I wonder why the outside noise is saying things like, well, we appreciate Josh Allen, but you didn't really address the receiver position. And I get it. When you got a guy like Josh Allen, you're going to be – are they treating Josh Allen similar to how Aaron Rodgers got treated in Green Bay, saying, look, he's so good that we don't have to address certain positions. But, hey, man, Beane did say you can't have, Pro Bowl offensive line, Pro Bowl receivers, Pro Bowl running backs. You just deal with what you got because we got Josh Allen. But I still say because Josh Allen is under center, I don't know what you're going to get from Tua with his health. Justin Fields got to prove that he can win, with the Jets. And New England, while they did a lot in the offseason, this is still year 1 under Mike Vrabel. I like the pieces. I do agree. I like the piece that New England added, but I got to see them gel, Smitty. But what are your thoughts on Buffalo media thinking that this draft was all right? Like it wasn't nothing to ride home about.
I think they just expect Buffalo to just add every piece under the sun that they can. But as Brandon Beane tried to explain, it's a salary cap league, and you can only do so much. And based on their board at the draft, if a receiver that was there was their highest rated player on their board, he probably would have done it. But that's not how the draft fell. And so I think people just have to realize this is it's harder than it looks. It's not as easy as us talking about it here on the podcast and playing armchair GM here at the end of the day. And I'm actually going to segue what you just did. I like kind of what you were doing there. So I will let you steal the thunder for this division. So let's just kind of go through each division and then do kind of storylines coming out of the draft for each of the teams. So I like what you said. New England taking a step this year. Jets, bottom feeders until proven otherwise. Buffalo, the favorites, but can they, still get it done? And then Miami could be a retooling, maybe even a rebuild coming if Tua doesn't stay healthy.
Bunch of star players that want to be everywhere but Miami at this point. We'll see how that gel with Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill.
Let's go to the AFC North, the home of Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, amongst others, in the stable of quarterbacks on the Browns roster at this point. So we'll get to Shedeur Sanders here in a second because that's his division now. Baltimore Ravens, Malachi Starks, that guy was born to be a Raven. I liked their draft class. They included a kicker from Arizona, Tyler Loop. Could this be the end of Justin Tucker? We'll see. I think Baltimore is still the favorites in this division as of now. Cincinnati's draft, they didn't have a lot of picks, but I just thought it was not very good. Pretty underwhelming, to be quite honest. I think they're going to be better this season on offense. They have to be, obviously, because Joe Burrow, they could be much better. So I'm sorry. They got to be better on defense. Defense, what I meant to say, because they could be any worse than they were last year on defense. But offensive, I think that'll carry the Bengals, but I don't know how much success it's going to give them. Cleveland drafted my favorite player, Mason Graham, who I thought was going to go to Carolina, and obviously it sounds like he was never going to go to Carolina, even if he was there. I really liked Cleveland's draft, Ben. I thought out of every team in the NFL we're going to discuss, I think Cleveland had the best draft. I'm just going to say it. I think they did. A+ draft by the Cleveland Browns. And that's not even talking about Shedeur Sanders. I think even before that, it was an A+ draft, in my opinion. Fleecing the Jacksonville Jaguars for Travis Hunter, getting Mason Graham at 5, and then Quinshon Judkins, Harold Fannin Jr., Carson Schweschinger, so many good players in this draft class. Steelers, for what they did, I thought they had a decent draft. Derek Harmon and Jack Sawyer, Caleb Johnson from Iowa is going to be a good player. But the story for the Steelers is, can their offense come to life this year and not just rely on that defense? Aaron Rodgers may or not be signing there. We'll see. And then, Shedeur Sanders was obviously the big question in the Browns in this division and kind of why he fell into the 5th round. So give me your storylines for each of these teams and your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and his falling to the 5th round, where he was taken 144 overall by the Cleveland Browns, starting with now their 5th quarterback on the roster with Shedeur Sanders being drafted.
Shamar Stewart going to Cincinnati, I thought was a really, really good pick. I don't know the situation with Trey Hendrickson in his contract. While he had 35 sacks the last 2 years, Smitty, I don't know if they feel as though he's a good player, not a great player. They don't look at him as a premier pass rusher because I don't know if he got his deal done yet. You mentioned Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, to me, falls to this draft because you still don't have a quarterback, in my opinion, that's ready right now on your roster to help you make a deep playoff run. I know they went and got Derek Harmon when Mike Tomlin was asked, why did you address, D-line and not the quarterback position? And they said, well, we thought the D-line was a place of need for us. And we went out and addressed it. I mean, yes, they wasn't able to go out there and get Sawyer from Ohio State. I mean, you know what they're going to do as far as like developing a D lineman, but you still needed a quarterback. I mean, Baltimore, you said it, Malachi Starks. I mean, he couldn't have failed to a better spot. I mean, the Ravens are set on offense. They want to keep shoring up that defense because while the Ravens was good last year, that defense showed a lot of holes, a lot. And that's not what we used to seeing from a Baltimore Ravens defense. But I think this is all about Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland was able to go out. They said, look, we trade the second pick. Jacksonville, I don't know how they got Jacksonville, to trade up with them because they were going to get Travis Hunter. But
I can tell you why. First-time GM, first-time head coach. Yeah. They don't know what they have on their roster. Yeah. And they just kind of took advantage of them. That's it.
Well, yeah. And Liam Cohen and company, man. I mean, Coach Stefanski, give him a lot of credit, man. Not only is he one of the best coaches in the National Football League, him, in that front office, they do a really, really good job. But you get Mason Graham. You get Dylan Gabriel. You get Shedeur Sanders. You get Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr. was a guy, that we mentioned, put up big numbers at, at Bowling Green. You get to add a weapon. But what you really did was this. When I already got 3 quarterbacks that are very, very questionable in my quarterback room, Smitty and Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson, I got to let those 3 guys know that nobody in this room is safe. Deshaun Watson, since you've been here, right, we gave you a bunch of money. You've only played in 16 games total since you've been a Cleveland Brown. Joe Flacco, I don't know how close he is to 40, but he ain't far from it, right?
He's 40.
Oh, he is 40. Okay, so he is 40. Now, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was a part of satisfying what Myles Garrett wanted when he decided to come back to Cleveland because he said he wanted a Super Bowl caliber quarterback or a Super Bowl winning quarterback. What he got there in Kenny Pickett. Dylan Gabriel goes in the 3rd round. Shedeur Sanders goes in the 5th round. Go back to the RG3 Kirk Cousins draft. You get two quarterbacks. Why do I need two? Because I'd rather have both. I'd rather have sealed my future and my fate with two quarterbacks. One of them is going to work out. And for Cleveland, they would want to be Shedeur Sanders and not Dylan Gabriel because they thought while Dylan Gabriel is a good quarterback, obviously they don't have enough faith in him because they went out there and got Shedeur 2 rounds later. I like what Cleveland is doing, Smitty. I just got to see it because while you kind of know what you're going to get on Cleveland defense is going to play you tough. You got a first ballot Hall of Famer, Myles Garrett. You got Denzel Ward. You got some players. How is the offense going to look? Because like I said, you ain't going. Once again, this is called winning the division for a reason. But I do like what Cleveland did. I like that Cleveland finally drafted Shedeur because I keep hearing these reports. I mean, for everybody that's saying, oh, man, I think it's a conspiracy and all these different things that happened to Shedeur. I mean, outside of, defensive coordinator sons prank calling him and him going from potentially first.
We'll get there to your Atlanta Falcons.
I am seeing reports now. I am hearing reports now that's saying that certain GMs was telling other GMs, we completely took him off our board. We don't like the fact that, we don't want this entitled kid. We don't want this kid, and we don't want this arrogant kid and things of that nature. But I'm like, don't you want your quarterback to be confident? Don't you want your quarterback to be moxie? Don't you want your quarterback to feel as though he can help take you out of I don't even know what you would call Cleveland at this point outside of just being a slot filler. They're not a part of the NFL fabric. While they are beloved by Cleveland fans,
yeah,
it's like, what are we looking forward to? The last time Cleveland was even relevant, I think Baker Mayfield
won a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what happened? They moved on from him because
but I do agree. I like out of all 4 teams, Malachi Starks, as I mentioned, and Pittsburgh, I kind of think like missed out on what they could have had, and Cincinnati got Shamar Stewart. I like what Cleveland did, but once again, it's how you take the draft, how do they gel and mesh with the veterans, and does that lead to wins and consistent wins? Only time will tell. But right now, the Cleveland Browns hope that Shedeur Sanders ends up the starter, because if he does nothing else, he sells tickets, and people are going to want to see that young man play. We'll see what happens.
And we'll play a game a little later about the quarterbacks that were the rookie quarterbacks, since they are the most important position in sports, about who we think may or may not be able to start this season. We'll play that a little later. But drilling down just a second more on Shedeur, since this is a big topic and obviously people are going to want us to talk about it. And Ben, you played in the league. So we were talking about this a little bit offline before we came on the podcast about, some people say, including a very famous talk show host who is pretty well known, Shedeur just needs to have some more have some humility, double down on some humility. Let's quit acting like your draft room says legendary before you've even stepped on the field. Ben, here me throw this at you. Do you think that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, GM and head coach of the Cleveland Browns, do you feel they were looking at Jimmy Haslam and they're like, we got to get this guy off our back. We don't really want to draft this guy in like the 4th or 5th round, but it's now like the 3rd or 4th. It's like the 3rd round. We don't really want to draft him until like the 5th or 6th round, but we got to get this guy off our back. So they draft Dylan Gabriel a little earlier than they probably wanted to, but they draft him like, all right, let's hope they get that shuts him up for a little bit. We get him off our back. And then as Shedeur just kept falling. And then Jimmy Haslam stepped in and was like, I want him. Boys, take him. Take Shedeur. Let's do it. Round 5. Let's end his slide. Do you think ownership made them pick Shedeur Sanders after they had drafted Dylan Gabriel?
I think ownership trusted the GM. I think what I don't like about this entire situation is this. When it comes to a guy like Shedeur Sanders, you keep on hearing the same narrative. He should have been more humble. I mean, he got legendary and all this. There was a quarterback that was, giving other fans the middle finger. He was, planting flags and running from the cops on camera. He was number 1 overall.
Baker Mayfield.
And here's the thing, right? People say, why is that important? See, I don't get this part. None of us know Shedeur. None of us was in these meeting rooms. And I get it. Sometimes if someone says, you want me to be humble. Well, humbleness doesn't always look the same. I could be being humble, but it has to look a certain way for you to think. And I get it. The NFL is a very humbling business. It don't owe Shedeur Sanders anything, right? But Smitty, when's the last time Pac-12 Player of the Year went 5th round? When's the last time the guy that has the highest completion percentage in FBS went 5th round? It was just weird to watch because
it was weird to watch. You're right.
People don't think that national narratives matter. People don't think that what they say about you matters. It's supposed to come down to how you play, who you played, and how you look doing it when you did it. The most receivers that got drafted in this 2025 draft came from what school? Colorado. The second overall pick was the Heisman. Who threw to him? Shedeur Sanders. Jackson State went from a loser to a winner. Colorado went from 1 win to 4 wins to 9 wins. What do all those teams have in common? Shedeur Sanders. I am not saying that Shedeur Sanders, right, shouldn't have got drafted the way he got drafted. I'm saying it just don't make sense. He's a 5th rounder.
Yeah. You know, do you feel like? But do you feel like, let's take my former quarterback in Carolina, Cam Newton, when he went to New England there for a second, and then Tim Tebow. Well, let's throw him out there, former Gator as well. Do you think it's just as simple as teams don't want to deal with the celebrity backup quarterback in a way with Tim Tebow, Cam in New England? Once Mac Jones earned the job, Bill let him go. The team that drafts Shedeur Sanders at that point, he's probably going to be the backup for a little, at least for maybe a season, or at least half a season. Do you think it could be just that simple? They don't want to deal with the noise, the distraction of a backup quarterback that's also a son of one of the best players in NFL history?
Possibly, but I think the thing about it is, right, at a certain point, what looks like a gimmick to someone else is just natural for that person. Like, we've been watching this young man on television before he was on a reality TV show with his dad. Then they went to Jackson State, and his brother started following him. Then they did it at Colorado. It would be one thing, Smitty, if they they bring a lot of attention to themselves, but it's not like he's not a good football player, right? So I think now, if you're the owner, the GM of a team, you got to factor in everything. Have you ever heard of anything off the field from Shedeur?
Nope.
Heard anything about him being a bad teammate?
Nope.
Have you ever heard any distractions from him?
Nope.
So I think it's like the draft was the first time that the National Football League can decide, hey, we're not taking him in the first round, or we're not taking him in the second round, we're not taking him in the third or the fourth. And I think finally you realize, okay, is this about Shedeur Sanders and who he is and how he is, or this is just, a collective effort to try to humble this young man? Who knows? We'll never know. But the power of NIL, I heard Damian Harris, former Alabama running back who played for 6 or 7 years and then got drafted, I think, the 3rd round by the New England Patriots, 2-time national champion winner at Alabama. He said, NIL is a tool that certain players can use to help boost their celebrity, boost their prestige, boost their image, their notoriety. Nobody benefited more than NIL than Shedeur Sanders, right? From the national, deals that he had with Mercedes and Tom Brady and Gatorade. We get it. But can he play? Because here's the thing, Smitty. If you're in college, I'm not going to blame you for getting the most out of name and image likeness is attached to name and image leverage. The more leverage you got, so he just used it. But then he went to the meeting rooms, right? And as a person that had to do this thing at the combine, as a person that had to do these 15-minute interviews, as a person I trained in New Orleans with Tom Shaw, and the one thing we did more than running and lifting and getting ready for the combine, we did interviews, and they broke it down to us. They broke it down. They said, hey, sound like this, and talk like that, and answer questions like this, which that's what we're there to do. That's what we're there to do. None of us is Deion Sanders' son. That plays a huge factor because I think sometimes Deion is telling his son, hey, man, you rather them hate you for who you are than love you for who you're not. And that's what I saw. They don't love him for who he is. Oh, no. They hate him for it. And when I say hate, I don't mean like literal hate. They wanted him to be a certain way. It's like this, Smitty. If Ryan Smith is going into an interview and you kill it, and at the end they say, yeah, Smitty, we like you, but we wish you would have sounded like this or talk like that. And you would have been like, what do you mean sound like this and talk like that? We wish you would have been more humble. Like, what? And mind you, and Smitty, and what if you're being humble, but my personality is a certain way? I'm willing to tell you how I see myself, because it's something, and you make a great point when you said Cam Newton. Cam Newton came out, Mr. Richardson, I know he's no longer
with us,
and he's no longer the owner of Carolina. He straight up asked him, "You got any tattoos? Are you clean cut? You got any piercings?" Now, a lot of people can think, man, that's kind of crazy. No, the owner, because the owner knows you're going to be the face. You're not just going to be the face of the franchise. You got a chance to be the face of the league, which Cam did both. I just think that sometimes, Smitty, when you look at the narratives, because mind you, no one talked about his analytics. At a certain point, it got away from his arm strength, how we play. You remember that at a certain point, it was all narratives. It went from how does he play? How does he throw? He had the highest completion percentage. He threw to Travis Hunter. He threw to Jimmy Horn Jr., which we're gonna get to. I think that for me, the narrative became the story, and the more the narrative went from they go from talking about this on podcasts and sports networks to national news. Everybody's talking. This is just national news, and at a certain point, for people who don't know, controversy sells. So yes, for a guy like Shedeur Sanders, he had to grit it and bear it, fair or unfair, wrong or right, and unfortunately, it became the talk of the 2025 draft. Instead of making it about the draft, it was about Shedeur.
Cam Ward's the least number one overall pick ever.
Yeah, listen.
We'll get to the AFC South in just a second.
But at the end of the day, now it's going to be about what Shedeur does, regardless of where he went, how he got there, what happened, what should have happened. Now all eyes are going to say, now if he doesn't pan out, all the things everybody said, say, see, that's why he went 5th round. But if he does for Cleveland, what he did for Colorado, what he did for Jackson State, Smitty, watch the apology tour go, no. And listen, and the person the national analyst or media person that he would go unnamed. When do we go from breaking down the game to breaking down pocket presence, QBR, third down completion, touchdown to interception ratio, all the things that matter to personality traits? Yeah. Because, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Before we get to the AFC South, next division, speaking of more in the Tennessee Titans, before we get there, one last point, not on Shedeur, but indirectly involving Shedeur. We talked about this gentleman as well before coming on the show. Mel Kiper Jr. on the ESPN podcast or broadcast of the yes. And so talking about Shedeur Sanders and frankly, I'll just give my personal opinion for just a second. I think ESPN did miss a mark when it comes to their draft coverage. Peter Schrager, former Fox employee who's now at ESPN, was on Pat McAfee's coverage, and Dan Orlovsky was doing social media updates instead of being on the draft coverage. So those two gentlemen know ball, and Peter Schrager has good insight with the scouts, and Dan Orlovsky is a pretty insightful, break things down pretty well. I just thought ESPN missed the mark not having those two guys on the main kind of draft show. That's just my personal opinion on that. But Mel Kiper, he rips NFL teams as, and this was a clip that kind of went viral today. And if you watched the whole draft, you saw this. When Shedeur finally went, he talked about the NFL teams being clueless, fake news surrounding the Sanders family. He said he was disgusted that no franchise had selected him. Quote, "I don't understand what's going on. The heck's going on. 5th player on my board. Never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the 4th round at quarterback." And then he goes on to say the NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks. Clueless. They have no idea what they're doing in evaluating quarterbacks. There's proof. There's proof of that. They say we know exactly what we're talking about, and he says you don't. And anyway, Louis Riddick and Reese Davis were also on the set when he was doing his little banter there, and they kind of, I think, had enough at that point and wanted to, move on. Listen, if for anyone, I'll just say this: for anyone who thinks that Mel Kiper hurt ESPN's draft coverage this weekend, you can think that, but boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how television works. I can guarantee you he boosted the draft coverage for ESPN. That is how the game is played. Mel Kiper gave the people in the networks a show.
Of course. Weekend. Hold on. Please, people. Do not think that Mel ain't got the hype men behind the scenes saying, good job, man. Keep going. Yeah. Because it's listen, it's information, it's analytics, it's entertainment. Now, I appreciate Mel, because what Mel Kiper was really doing was fighting for his reputation. Like, wait. Y'all making it look like I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody's gonna hit on all the quarterbacks. But I appreciate Reese Davis, because Reese Davis said, ho. Everything we're saying about Shedeur Sanders is just how we feel. It's just our perspective now. Like we because Reese would say, y'all people trying to talk like they actually know what's going on, like we were in the minds of these GMs and owners. We're not. So while we get what Mel says and we respect Mel, we respect him. Mel is not, he ain't the Dalai Lama. He ain't the guru. He ain't, and listen, Mel is the most trusted draft analyst ever. I think he's been doing it like 37, 38 years. But even Mel misses. But Mel is saying, dang, man, what he's really saying, I ain't never got to this room. I want my draft analysis and the draft to correspond with each other. And it didn't. But Reese Davis is speaking for the viewer who was saying, look, dude, we get it. But we ain't the reason why he ain't get drafted. We ain't these 32 owners. Everybody don't need a quarterback. Everybody don't want him. And even Louis Riddick chimed in. I appreciate it for this reason, though, Smitty. This is what makes ESPN still very, very watchable. Sometimes people just want to hear conversation. We get the analytics because you can lose people with the analytics too. Now people can get lost in the analytic soup.
Sometimes less is more. Yes.
Yeah, but I appreciated Reese Davis saying, wait a minute. Because if you keep on saying these things, Mel, it'll start sounding like we're on the side of this man dropping. We're happy that this is happening to him. And I there is no such thing as who's the best, in my opinion, when you start talking about these who they pair together. I mean, Smitty, if me and you was on that stage, they're going from person to person, and they got the thing in their ear, and they'll say, all right, Smitty, you go up next. Sometimes what makes good shows is disagreements. Don't nobody want to sit up there and hear, oh, yeah. We ain't cheerleaders. We here to give our draft analysis. We here to break down these players. And listen, was it weird? Yes. Is it what we're going to – Cam Ward went number 1 overall, and it's almost like he didn't. It's like Cam Ward, all right. Shedeur Sanders should be, we got to trade. Cleveland trade with Jacksonville. So I loved it. I think it's no matter what, this comes down to two things for me. White quarterbacks coming out of the National Football League gets very, very favorable coverage, and black quarterbacks don't. It shouldn't be that way. I wish it was not that way. Go back to when Cam got drafted. Just look at what they said. You would have thought Cam was the worst quarterback, and he's going number 1. I don't know if the system, right? Lamar Jackson needs to move to another position. And Bill Polian, Hall of Fame GM Bill Polian says this, who drafted Peyton Manning. So what I'm saying is, sometimes for me, and to me, I'm just telling the fact. I'm not even making this a race thing. It's the fact that sometimes if we take a step back and we saying, dang, man, like some of this stuff don't seem like the draft no more. It seems like something else. Smitty, if you had a little boy and he's one of the best quarterbacks, and Smitty, you just happen to go into coaching, and you just get to be the head coach of a P5 school. I think I know where your son is going. I just think I know if I'm the head coach and I can take care of him. And just say he just happens to be one of the top quarterbacks coming out. Of course you're telling your son, be humble, but be yourself. Be confident, but be yourself. And he goes in and he says, Dad, I did everything you told me, and they still didn't like it. Because guess what? Were we in the meeting room? Did we hear what Shadir said? No. But if I've already made up my mind, I don't like how he's entitled. No, we're going to get to somebody who's entitled on this show in a little bit, and they ain't even a player. They ain't even a coach. We're going to get to that. But in my opinion, though, Smitty, I enjoyed every bit of the coverage. I just think that I could see you and me, and obviously we'll have a sponsor for it, doing a draft show and waiting on these draft picks to come out and give our take on it. But I just think for one draft, I've never seen one player dominate the entire draft and the entire headline before, during, and after he got drafted like Shadur Sanders. I haven't seen it in a while. So.
All right, let's knock out the rest of these divisions as we and we'll get to some games and headlines and for the last minutes of time. All right, AFC South, Houston Texans. Both Iowa State receivers are the two people that stuck out to me: Jalen Higgins, Jalen Noel, and then obviously Graham Mertz from your Gators, maybe a backup to CJ Stroud. Indianapolis, they got Tyler Warren, JT Tumiolio from Ohio State. Jacksonville, the big trade with Travis Hunter getting to Jacksonville. How are they going to use him? Is Houston going to have is CJ Stroud going to have a better year than last year and with his sophomore slump? Indianapolis, Richardson, Jones, who's going to win that job? And then the Titans, it's all about Cam Ward, obviously going number one overall. Can he and is Will Levis? I think Will Levis Davis are numbered in Tennessee. I think they're either going to cut him or they're going to trade him somewhere, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but what's Cam Ward going to look like his rookie season? So that's my AFC South takeaway.
I mean, Travis Hunter, he makes that entire team totally different, not just from what he brings. I don't know if he's a starting receiver, that means he's going to be the slot corner. If he's a starting corner, that means he'll be a slot receiver. Either way, he can't start on both sides of the ball. But I think what is scary for me is what that offense could be. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, De'Ami Brown. They brought him over from the Commanders. Brian Thomas Jr. and freaking Travis Hunter. I mean, just saying it out loud. But the straw that stirs the drink would be Trevor Lawrence. That's why until he shows me consistency, but potentially what that entire offense could be is scary to say the least. Tyler Warren, I think, is going to help out whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, what he brings to the tight end position. I think to get him where they got him at, I think he's going to be a big time player. Cam Ward gets Calvin Ridley. He gets Tyler Lockett. He gets DK. Shamir DK from Florida. He gets Traylon Burks. He gets Chigwozium. And he got his Strepo. He got him as a free agent, which he's gonna have to make the team. Which it might be hard for him to make the team. But for me, no matter what, Smitty, I mean, I got to be honest. It's not gonna matter what Jacksonville does. It don't matter what Indy did. It don't matter what the Titans did. They didn't get closer to catching Houston. Houston has won the division 2 years in a row. They're way ahead of schedule. Their quarterback is consistent. They got the best quarterback in the division. They got the best team in the division. They got the best coach in the division. I mean, it pains me to say that, but Houston and what Houston is doing now, everybody else is retooling. Houston is reloading. Good teams do not rebuild. They reload. So for me, I don't care if it's 2 Travis Hunters, 2 Tyler Warrens, 2 Cam Wards. Can you beat Houston? If you can't beat them, we're going to be talking about this again next year. So while I like what everybody done around them, it's still about Houston. CJ Stroud, he's only going to get better in year 3. He did what he did last year with guys going down like Stephon Diggs, like Tank, and all those guys. And they almost beat Kansas City. Hello. So it's still going to be about Houston. And but I do like the pieces that they got added to Indy, Jacksonville, and my Titans. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Obviously, I have a two-tone blue heart beating in my chest, but it ain't gonna matter if you can't beat the boys, Houston.
AFC West, Denver Broncos. Bo Nix taking a second step. For Denver, they drafted Florida punter Jeremy Cruikshank in the 6th round, the only punter drafted. Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl, as we know, the Eagles, and they went ahead and drafted Josh Simmons from Ohio State, left tackle, as their first round pick, trying to get Patrick Mahomes some more protection. One of the best values in the 7th round was Brashard Smith, running back from SMU, that the Chiefs drafted. Also could be a return man for them. It's all about the Raiders in this division, though. Pete Carroll, Ashton Jeanty, Jack Besh, who lost his brother in that New Orleans attack on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day. His brother, Tiger, Jack Besh, round 2. And then Chargers, Marion Hampton from North Carolina, one of the best running backs in this draft. Kyle Kennard from South Carolina a little later. Can the Chargers and Justin Herbert finally stand up? Can they make the playoffs once again? That's my takeaway here in the AFC as we shift to the NFC.
I agree with your sentiments. I think with everybody that made strides, I think that Pete Carroll's letting you know, listen, man, I want that old thing back. The last time Pete Carroll was one of the best coaches in the National Football League, he had 2 things. He had a quarterback that understood him and a running back that can run that thing. Ashton Jeanty, he's finna walk out of Boise State, walk into Vegas, and he's finna run that thing. I mean, when you talk about Brock Bowers, I mean, we talk about what they're trying to build a culture with the Raiders. They're tired of being, they didn't come to Vegas to be the laughingstock they was in Oakland. Max Crosby, outside of printing money, is still one of the premier pass rushers in the National Football League. I like the running back that's going to the Chargers. I think he's going to help them with a defense that's already loaded. I mean, Kansas City, unfortunately, the blueprint is out on them. They're going to look real good in the regular season. I mean, you got to find a way to beat them. If you can get to the quarterback and take away Travis Kelce, you got a shot to beat them. And, at the end of the day, this Denver team, I just think that, what like you mentioned, what Bo Nix is doing, can they take another step? I mean, they added some pieces, but like I said, if you can't beat Kansas City, it's not going to matter. The Chargers going to look real good in the regular season. They still got Justin Herbert, who can't beat Josh Allen. He can't beat Lamar Jackson. He can't beat Joe Burrow, and he can't beat so he having he's struggling beating Bo Nix. But I think it is all about my Raiders. I want to see how this offense can gel. I want to see what Pete Carroll can do back in the league. And like I say, man, we'll see what happens with those guys. But Ashton Jeanty, he thanks Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry for reinstilling that running backs are people too, and they should be drafted high.
Dallas, NFC East, Dallas, Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, one of the more excited players in this draft. I just love that he wants to protect Dak Prescott and be he's so excited to be a Dallas Cowboy. I just love to see guys that excited where they get to go. I thought Dallas overall had a pretty good draft for Dallas, which was kind of shocking to say that. They finally took a running back, Jaden Blue, a little later on in the draft. Giants, A+ draft in my opinion. Jackson Dart, Cam Scattergood, Abdul Carter obviously was the headliner there. But still, those 2 teams still looking up to the Eagles and Commanders respectively. Jihad Campbell somehow fell to the Eagles. Andrew Mukuba from Texas, former Clemson safety. Kyle McCord goes there as a potential backup to Jalen Hurts and the Commanders. Not a lot of players in this draft, but I like the receiver from Virginia Tech, Jalen Lane, in the 4th round. Very good value there for Jaden Daniels.
I like the O-lineman too. I mean, from Dallas. I mean, they have the type of passion. Let them know, look, man, I know what I'm here to do, and I'm looking forward to doing it. Right? Dallas definitely. I mean, Dallas is showing, look, it doesn't matter how good we want to be. We can't go nowhere without number 4. I agree with what you said about the Commanders. I mean, they added some pieces. They added some pieces. And I like the pieces that they added. But here's the thing about the NFC East. I love what the Giants did. Abdul Carter already reached out to LT, and asked him, can he get that 5?
Yeah, got rejected, but he's okay.
Lawrence Taylor said he said no, but he also make a number special for yourself. You don't want, listen, I love you, Abdul. You don't want that. He did you the best favor ever, but he did say he is supporting you. But I like Jackson Dart. I like, I like the pieces that they added. Howie Roseman sat back and waited. And he said they're going to do it. I know good and well they're going to let Jihad come to me. And listen, and just to add insult to injury, to make sure Kansas City don't get him, they just switched. They went from 32 to 31, got Jihad. Once again, it don't matter if you got an offensive tackle, if you got Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter, you added you a running back. Don't matter if you got a receiver from Virginia Tech. We just showed you why we gonna beat the brakes off of y'all. Because most of our players are 20-something under rookie deals, and we just added another linebacker in the SEC, Alabama in particular, Jihad. When he came off the board to me, I go, oh my God, Jihad ain't gone yet. And when he went, I said, draft over. Because once again, Howie Roseman said, man, I'm a chess player. They can play checkers all day. And just like I said about the AFC West, if you can't beat Kansas City, it don't matter. And if you can't beat Philly, it don't matter. And you can't beat them.
NFC North, the Chicago Bears, first 2 picks, I really enjoyed Colston Love and Luther Burden. Their skill players might be top 7 in the NFL at this point. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams. Pretty good core there. Still think they finished last in the division, but pretty good. Talik Williams for Detroit, first-round pick, added a guy who was really good against the run and just mean dudes in the trenches all throughout that draft. Matthew Golden, best moment of the draft, in my opinion, when the Green Bay Packers, the home draft team, drafted him. First receiver since Javon Walker in 2002. Awesome moment there. Minnesota Vikings didn't have a lot of picks, but I think they're going to be right there with J.J. McCarthy in his first year starting with Minnesota. I think it's going to come down to Detroit and Minnesota for this division.
I was happy with this. Chicago, Coach Ben Johnson is really, really going on out for a guy in Caleb Williams. Got him some offensive line help in the offseason. Now you added him some weapons. With Colston coming off the board first. Minnesota, as you mentioned, man, they added some pieces. I like what everybody did. I like what Minnesota did. I like what Chicago did. Green Bay finally gets a first-round pick at receiver since 2002, Von Walker, right? But once again, Detroit is reloading. Detroit is saying, like, our best players are already on the roster. Whoever we bring into this culture, we're just gonna welcome into this culture. Nobody's gonna beat us. They already picked up the. I want to say they already picked up the 5th year option for James Williams, and I want to say Aiden Hutchinson. I think they picked up the 5th year option for those guys already. I like all the love you give Chicago, but I still think they finished. I still think they finished last in the division, but I do like the piece that they had. Shout out to Chicago for showing Caleb Williams some love. Minnesota building their culture over there. Green Bay continuing to do what they do on the Jordan Love, getting him a first-round pick at receiver out of Texas. But it's gonna be all about them boys. That's been winning that thing the last couple of years in Detroit Lions. So Coach Dan Campbell is clapping for everybody else, but like, y'all can't beat us. We building something up here. We trying to get to the super duper, not just win a bunch of games.
Let's get to our 2 teams in the NFC South. Atlanta Falcons. I liked 4 out of your 5 draft picks. I'm not going to lie. Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, 4 out of the 5 draft picks for the Falcons. As a Panthers fan, I did like those players. I thought the Falcons overall had a really good draft. My Carolina Panthers, Tet McMillan, first pick. Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, Trevor Etienne from Florida. I know he did go to Georgia for a hot second. Yeah. Lathan Ransom, Ohio State, safety, very underrated, can stuff the run. Cam Jackson, big boy from Florida, not as big as his teammate who signed with the Bucs as undrafted free agent, but big boy. Jimmy Horn Jr. from Colorado, who you mentioned, is going to be adding some speed to the Carolina offense. And Notre Dame tight end Mitchell Evans. I thought this gives Bryce Young a chance at the end of the day, retooling the defense and not going after defense around 1 paid off. For the Panthers. Saints had an opportunity to focus more on defense, and they didn't do a lot of that outside a couple picks at safety and linebacker. In my opinion, they did have Tyler Shuck, the oldest quarterback in this draft. We'll see how that pays off for them. Will Derek Carr be there? We'll see. And then Bucks, once again, winners of 4 years in a row, got Emeka Egbuka in the first round. Gosh darn it, Ben, that was a great pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Overall, their draft was decent. I don't have a lot to say about them specifically. I think the division's still runs through Tampa right now until one of our teams or New Orleans. Well, who are we kidding? New Orleans ain't gonna do it. Until one of our teams knocks them off. Still runs through Tampa, but I think Atlanta and Carolina have set themselves up really well this season to give it a go. If both of those teams' defenses can step up and their quarterbacks can kind of continue to play how they were playing down the stretch last season, I think Carolina and Atlanta have a chance to knock off Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think for anybody to catch the Bucs is gonna have to be either your Panthers or my Falcons. I did like the Mbuka pick when he came through. I said, "Oh man, that's a good pick." Mike Evans, know he's in the twilight of his career, even though he's still playing highly productive football. Him and Chris Godwin, those guys, they can have a very, very formidable offense. But I love them. I love what my Falcons did. I mean, you talking about addressing the pass rushing position. We had 7 sacks on third down all year. That's it. 7 all year. Every third down had 7. So you get Jalen Walker, who was still there. You trade back up. You get James Pierce. I mean, you add Xavier Watts. You add Billy Bowman, and you finish with Jack Nelson. We did what we did because we are chasing Carolina. To me, y'all draft was amazing. You get Ted McMillan. You talk about Trevor. You talk about Etienne. You talk about Cam Jackson. You talk about Jimmy Holmes. Trevor Etienne. Y'all. What Carolina did is this. They saying, look, man, we are going to win with offense while our defense gets it together. Cam Jackson is not Derek Brown. Nobody is. But I think he could be a really, really nice addition with what, because he's a run stuff and he's a big man that takes up 2 gaps. I think what Carolina showed is, man, we ain't scared of nobody in this division, man. And I'm happy you clarified this. You said Ted was going to be our guy. Even if Mason Graham would have been there, you get Ted. That's saying, look, we like Mason. We need Ted because we got to have a bona fide look right now. And I love you, Xavier. I love you, Leggett. I love you, Leggett, from that shit. They're trying to see who's going to be the number one because Adam Thielen is leaving. But you know what this draft really came down to? Y'all got it ain't the draft. Freaking Hunter Renfrow. God dang it, man. Because I kept saying this. I kept saying, hey, man, if they get a slot receiver, and I thought it was going to be Keenan Allen. And when they said Hunter Renfrow, I was like, oh, my God, that's even better than Keenan because he's young. So Hunter Renfrow, I'm going to add him kind of to the draft. I like how they – Dan Campbell.
And legend Musin Muhammad's his son, Muhammad, signed as an undrafted free agent.
Dan Morgan, touche. I like how you let everything clear, let the smoke. Oh, shoot, we just signed Hunter Renfrow. Really? Okay.
And Julian Blackman, former Colts safety, might be on his way to Carolina.
Okay, listen, Carolina is letting y'all know there is no such thing as we're rebuilding right now. We're gonna live in this house. We living in this house right now. Hey, I like how you were telling me. I like how everybody you want to either will get him. Oh man, he going to because that's the goal is to get the picks that you want that your rival wants to get. But then so. But I like what Carolina did, man. I think y'all bolstered y'all offense and defense. Y'all got some key holes filled. And like I say, Bryce Young carry on into 2025, how he ended 2024. That's not gonna bode well, man, because that younger playing with confidence. That confidence word again.
Yeah.
I guess they don't like the confident after you get drafted, not before you get drafted. So we'll see.
Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West is the last division. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss and Will Johnson from Michigan, who had a knee injury. Those were their kind of top 2 guys. I still think they're finishing last as well, but had a really good draft, continuing to improve themselves. Rams, I really enjoyed Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. Got to watch him a little bit at some of these practices. Really enjoyed the tape that I watched on him. I think the Rams are going to be sneaky good like they always are. This might be the last year of Stafford in LA. I think they're going to go get a quarterback next year, Ben, with your Falcons first-round pick and their own. Maybe try to use that to move up and to get a quarterback early in 2026 to replace Matthew Stafford. San Francisco 49ers, I did not like their draft. I'm just going to be honest. Mikael Williams, Alfred Collins were their best 2 players by a mile. Otherwise, they just kind of went need, and sometimes that's not the best thing to do. I think San Francisco lost a lot this offseason. They're going to depend upon a lot of older players to stay healthy, and for their sake, they better hope they do so. And then Seattle replaces Geno Smith with Sam Darnold, and they had a heck of a draft. Gray Zabel going to be a starter. Nick Imawari at safety, who everybody liked. Jalen Miro from Alabama is going to back up Sam Darnold at least for this year, maybe even next year. Damian Martinez from Miami, who's going to be a third down back for them, but Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet get injured all the time, so Martinez very well might see really a lot of snaps as a rookie. So I thought Seattle had a really good draft, and they surprised me a little bit with how good they drafted. I can see Seattle getting a play in this division in 2025.
Watch out for Jalen Milroe, not this year, but a couple of years down the road. I think they're trying to build, because Jalen Milroe kind of goes into the mode of the mobile quarterback. You see the dual threat RPO quarterback. Sam Darnold is more the pocket passer that can utilize his legs. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I agree with what you said about San Francisco. San Francisco was reaching because listen, when Drake Greenlaw and they started saying to go over to Denver, they was like, dude, like, how do you replace that much production from the back end to our linebackers? I mean, they reaching. I mean, Arizona, at this point, as long as Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback, they don't really have a culture out there in Arizona right now, so it's really going to be hard no matter who they bring, to the fold. I mean, because they're not going to be competitive. And the Rams, I mean, no one's really talking about the fact that, I include this with the offseason. The offseason, they got freaking Devontae Adams to go along with Puka. And then I'm just saying, like,
and then they drafted another running back. Hold on, Jarquez Hunter from Auburn. I know Kyron Williams fumbles a lot, even though he's done really good.
Well, Williams got to know this. Williams got to know, hey man, if there's no competition in the room, I think that my position is safe. Now I'm not saying that the rookie gonna take his spot, but
and they drafted Blake Corum last year from Michigan, and they hardly ever used him.
Sean McVay, he's like a wizard when it comes to his play calling. At one point, if you was coaching with Sean McVay, coach against Sean McVay, knew Sean McVay, you was getting head coaching jobs, or offensive coordinator consideration. But as long as you got Matthew Stafford, who still can sling it with the best of them, I think you got a shot to win. But I do agree, Arizona finishes last in that division. I don't. Brock Purdy gonna get, Josh Allen type money when he does finally re-sign his contract. I think that sometimes when you talk about this entire division, I think that Seattle is a team that wants to get back to their winning way. They're still trying to get back to what a guy like Pete Carroll left behind them. And like I say, man, I think, with San Francisco, with the Rams, so with Arizona, I just think that, hey, man, we'll see what happens with every last one of those guys. But I like what everybody did. I just think that it's going to come down to the Rams. It's going to come down to Seattle. San Francisco, I think their Super Bowl window is coming home, and Arizona's Arizona.
All right. Before I play our two games to go out the door here, let's go through headlines really quickly from the NFL after post-draft. Former Panthers, Texans, and Steelers and Ravens wide receiver Deontay Johnson is going to be on his third team in the AFC North as he goes to Cleveland on a one-year deal. Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I think the way he handled or mishandled things in Carolina really hurt his reputation. You don't go to a team where you're supposed to be the number one and you act like that. And then since he left, you guys, man, I mean, he goes to
Baltimore. And
it didn't really work out. Like I say, he didn't handle that right. And I think GMs don't like when you do other GMs wrong. Now, other GMs will give you an opportunity, but I think that leash is short. We'll see what happens in Cleveland.
Trump hosted the Eagles at the White House today. President Donald Trump, as the Eagles did visit the White House, notable players were absent, but the majority of the team was there today. And he endorses the tush push as the Eagles visited the White House today there at the White House.
There was a viral video going around. I don't know what I think that Jalen Hurts was on Time Magazine or one of the 100 most influential people. He was asked on the red carpet, will he be going to the White House? And he gave the best non-answer. He just looked at the interviewer, kind of like shook his head. Like he didn't shake his head. He just kind of looked at him. They said it was a conflict, scheduling issue. But look, man, the White House visit should be about the players that want to go. If they don't want to go, you shouldn't make it political. Some people do, some people don't. Jalen Hurts, if I've learned about him, he's all about business. If it ain't about football, he ain't about it. So I don't know why he didn't go. It's only speculation. But yeah, the Eagles, they did. That was a big controversy because when they first won, everybody kept saying, I think it was somebody in the UK saying, they're not going. Listen, man, that's how polarizing the Eagles are when people ain't even in America is breaking news about the Eagles, even though it was fake news.
Browns pass on Kenny Pickett's fifth-year option. We talked about Brandon Beane getting tested with the radio hosts over their draft criticism earlier. Derek Carr confirms shoulder injury and rips the speculation about him not being in New Orleans. Steelers signing Robert Woods to a 1-year deal, and the Commanders reach a deal to build their old JFK Stadium site, $4 billion.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to see that stadium, man. I know someone, Dan Snyder, was like, really? Oh, so y'all want to do this time now? Yep, now that you're no longer the owner, they want to do all kind of stuff with the Washington Commanders. Shout out to Robert Woods, who was a Super Bowl champ, still finding ways, to get NFL checks. Derek Carr, what you ripping people for? I mean, your shoulder's bad. Don't be speculating I'm not going to be here. Well, being here is one thing. Being on the field is everything. No one's scared of you, Derek Carr. I'm just saying. What the headline you? Mr. Bean, look. In Buffalo, I saw y'all Netflix special when y'all went to 4 straight Super Bowls. You ain't have to do with that, and y'all lost them. They want to get to a Super Bowl, and they don't think this draft cuts the mustard. So you get mad all you want. And what's the first one you said? You said something.
Yeah. We talked about the Bills GM already, and then Browns passed on Kenny Pickett's 5th-year option.
Oh yeah, Kenny Pickett. While you did get traded, we got to see it, brother. Because the last time we saw it, now you did play some good football in it when Jalen Hurts got hurt, right? But when you was in Pittsburgh, when you were the starter, no. So we'll see.
And then Will Levis, the Titans did not try to trade him. They cite his value in bringing the best out of Cam Ward and having their best 90-man roster put together. They have not named a starter, and they said Will Levis provides value.
Smitty, you know what that says? Nobody wanted him. We tried to trade him, and nope. Who? Will Levis. You want us to trade for who? Will Levis. Quarterback Will Levis? Yeah. Now, and call me back when you got something. I'm just saying, who y'all think y'all talk? We listen. 31 other teams can see him. They've seen it. So, hey, listen, we want to bring out the best in him. No one else wants him. So it's cool. It's cool. But that's what happened.
Yeah, leave it to a former player to give us what the GM speaker is actually saying.
I'm just saying, Smitty. Somebody's calling you, and it's a 615 area code, and you the GM of any other team. They said, "What's up, man? Hey, Smitty, listen, man. We want to talk about a trade. Who you got for me? Will Levis. Come on, man. Be serious. No, really, Will Levis. No, we're not interested in Will. I mean, what else you got? I've seen Moneyball. I've seen Draft Day. And like I said, no, absolutely not. No. And I have to love Will Levis because he played for my Titans, but no. Stop it.
All right. Let's end with 2 games going out the door. And as I said at the beginning, let us know what questions you want us to talk about, topics. Remember, you can rate, review, and subscribe at the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, Tobacco Road Sports Radio on YouTube, Fans First Sports Network as well. This is Winning the Division. We're on our 37th episode. We're continuing to bring the content to you guys each week. We're continuing to get guests on. We're going to have hopefully some post-draft guests here shortly, looking to bring the best to you guys and give their insight and analysis. So just keep watching out and keep listening and keep supporting the podcast. And thank you for all those of you who have supported already and left comments, left reviews, ratings as well. Ben, let's go ahead and get to our last 2 segments for this podcast edition number 30, episode number 37. I'm going to do my normal, is this a proper reaction or is this an overreaction? And I said episode 37. It is episode 38. I did not know why I kept going down that road. But anyway, episode 38. Let's keep going. So I'll start with this one. Caleb Williams will break the Bears' passing yards and touchdown records in 2025 for the Chicago Bears.
I'd say no. And here's why. Because it's irrelevant. Even if he does, because think about this. If he finally does, right, they'll say, oh, he's taking strides. No, I don't think he's going to do either. Because here's the thing. Caleb Williams, I think, is good enough to go out there and make plays, win games, and keep him in position to win games. When you, and I'm not saying he's doing this, but if you're worried about breaking records, you ain't worried about winning games. If he I don't think he does it because I think it's one of the most irrelevant stats in sports to be. Man, he got the most touchdowns. Is it helping him win that division? No. Is it helping him win games? No. He wants to win games because Caleb Williams got to show that his rookie year was an anomaly. His sophomore season in the NFL is what Chicago fans should be looking forward to because they gave him a lot of weapons, a lot of O-line help, a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterbacks coach. Let's see if he can prove all those people right.
Mike Tomlin, relying on Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see if he comes. And he drafted Will Howard, who's probably going to be a backup in the league. You got Mason Rudolph. You got Skylar Thompson. Mike Tomlin's playing. When's the last time a team hasn't had their starting quarterback after the draft solidified? I think they're playing a dangerous game here. And I don't like where this is headed for Pittsburgh.
I don't like where it's headed for Pittsburgh either because it's so unlike them, right? You talk about Mike Tomlin. I've been there 18, 19 years, never had a losing season. Only one of 3 head coaches in franchise history for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have they seen Aaron Rodgers lately? Netflix making Aaron Rodgers? Diva Aaron Rodgers? It's everybody's fault but mine, Aaron Rodgers. I didn't say I was vaccinated. I would say what? I said I was whatever he said. Like Aaron Rodgers to me, the reason we are enablers. And when I say we, I'm talking about the fans, I'm talking about Mike Tomlin, I'm talking about the Rooneys, I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why are you waiting on him? To do what? Bring your locker room together? He won't. To help you win the division? He won't. Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is not better than Lamar Jackson. He's not better than Joe Burrow. And he's better than all the Cleveland quarterbacks. That ain't saying much. So if Aaron Rodgers waiting on him, is that going to help you win a Super Bowl? No. I get it. Aaron Rodgers was the one you lost your second Super Bowl to. So I want to right some wrongs like Mike Vrabel trying to trade for A.J. Brown because he had it. No. I'm like you, Smitty. I don't get it. I like Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers has been all right as of late. His best years are definitely behind him, but we'll see how this marriage ends.
And I know you're just going to be thrilled with this one. My Carolina Panthers, not the Atlanta Falcons, are going to win the NFC South in 2025.
I think y'all got the best shot, and this is why I say it. It used to be a time that it was never a back-to-back winner in the NFC South. It was somebody different every year. I don't trust the Aints. Baker Mayfield and company have won it, but it's not because anybody's scared of them. Michael Penix essentially this is going to be his rookie year because he played in 3 meaningless games,
3-4 games down the stretch,
right down the stretch. Bryce Young going into year 3, battle tested, gave him some weapons, understands that they brought back Andy Dalton, which means I'm good. If y'all know when y'all defense click, y'all offense gonna be scared. The running back, y'all got a 2-headed running backs, tight ends, wide receivers from Hunter Renfrow to
O-line's finally good. Finally.
Yeah, I hate to give you this credit because I just think that if Michael Penix had played more, I would feel good about it because we got Bijan, we got Drake London. If Kyle Pitts decided to play football, we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, I think you're right. And I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be exciting down the stretch, but I think Bryce Young gonna separate himself and say, hey man, Baker Mayfield is the best quarterback in the position because of what he's done, not because of ability. Because of what he's done, he's the best quarterback. I'm coming for that number 1 spot in the division, and I'm coming for the number 1 spot at the quarterback position. I'm just telling you. So, yeah, man. Dare I say, man? And who knows? Y'all win the division. Maybe Carolina finally, have Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe we got to help facilitate that too. Who knows?
Yeah, there's supposedly some stuff in the work between Panthers and Cam Newton. We'll see where that goes. I think a reunion is coming very soon. I think there was kind of a rekindling that did happen right before the draft. I'm just breaking some news there. I think that did happen. You wanted that, Mr. Troupe, as big of a.
It's time, man. Come on, man. It's time.
Yeah. All right, let's end it with the quarterbacks because everyone loves quarterbacks from this 2025 draft. We're just going to keep it simple since we're over. Yes, they're going to start, and no, they're not going to start. Or you could say no, they're not going to start for now, and they might come. If it's going to be a certain time of the year, you can also say it like that too. Cam Ward, I think, is pretty cut and dry. He's going to start for the Tennessee Titans this upcoming year.
Absolutely, he's going to start. I don't think he's going to start game one. I think Will Levis is going to Will Levis, but I do think he's going to at a certain point this year. Yeah, Cam Ward, we'll get the starting snap. Yeah, he will be the starter. Yes.
Jackson Dart for the New York Giants. I'm going to say no. I think Russell Wilson opens the season as the starter. Wouldn't be surprised if they move on from Jameis Winston after training camp. And I think Dart maybe becomes the backup and learns under Russell Wilson in year one. So I don't think he's going to play unless of an injury. I think Jackson Dart, it's farther away than people know because I don't think that the Ole Miss offense translates to what he's going to be seeing and doing in the National Football League. Lane Kiffin did a good job with Jackson Dart, but that offense, you had to just see it, and now he orchestrated it well. But no, and I will say this, I think Jackson Dart might end up being the number 3. I think they do keep Jameis Winston only because I think Jackson Dart needs to have as much wisdom and somebody showing him how to play the quarterback position. And Jameis Winston seems to be a guy that loves that. Like Andy Dalton, he embraces his role, ready when you need him, but understands why he's there. So yeah, I think you keep all 3 guys. I think Jackson Dart, it'll say number 3, but I think if they had to pick between him and Jameis Winston, they'll probably start him over Jameis. Tyler Shuck for the New Orleans Saints. This is tricky. Derek Carr's shoulder injury. We don't know where he's at. Spencer Rattler, Jay Kane are the other 2 quarterbacks on the roster. I don't think they feel good about them considering they drafted Tyler Shuck. So I'm going to say no to start, whether it's Carr or maybe Spencer Rattler will start the season as QB1, and then Shuck will eventually get some snaps down the stretch if one of those guys struggles. So I'm going to say no for now.
I'm going to say no. Now, if Shuck goes out there and proves me wrong, I think he got a shot maybe down like kind of what the Falcons did with Michael Penix because of
correct. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. If Shuck is playing, that means the season's kind of got out of hand with the guys that was in front of him either got hurt or just not playing well. I do see him playing just to get some snaps so he can see what it's like to be out there in a real NFL game. But yeah, I'm like you. I don't think he's going to play much this season. And that the tape they were showing in the combine, that is not showing him in his best light. But obviously he got a shot because Derek Carr is hurt. He's more hurt than he wants to give off. Shuck won't start, but he will play. He will play some this year.
Jalen Milroe is a hard no. I think Darnold's going to start in Seattle. They signed him with the money to do that. And then Jalen Milroe, I think, is going to be featured. I could see like in a wildcat type package or maybe third down runs, 6 to 8 plays a game, something like that. But a good hard sit this year and maybe even next year as well. At maybe a 2-year wait, kind of like Jordan Love in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah, I think the biggest boom or bust in this draft is Jalen Milroe. I think whenever he does come in, you're going to have an offense built for his skill set and what he does. Him and Sam Darnold, 2 totally different quarterbacks, totally different people, totally different athletes. For what they're trying to do in Seattle, they want to have a stable offense. I mean, no DK Metcalf, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you talk about losing all these big-time players. So, yeah, I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to play this year or next year. If he does play, once again, it's out of desperation. It's out of the fact that people have gotten hurt and they're trying to do something different. You switch up your whole offense when Jalen Milroe comes in.
Let's go with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. I'm going to say Gabriel does not start. Shedeur Sanders does not either. I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco. And I believe Shedeur will get some snaps later on in the year if he is ready. Dylan Gabriel, I think, is more of a project. The height concerns me, though my quarterback, Bryce Young, is also about the same size as Gabriel. But again, he didn't get a Heisman Trophy winner like Bryce Young did. But no, I'm going to say no for both of these guys.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, too. I do think Kenny Pickett does end up becoming a starter. I think Deshaun Watson probably ends up being, on IR. And I think Joe Flacco ends up being a camp casualty. I mean, you're not going to keep 5 quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, they traded for him. They're not going to pick up his 50 options, though they are going to give him a chance to be able to go out there and play meaningful snaps for his NFL future. I think Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders reminds me of the draft of RG3 and Kirk Cousins. You get 2 guys in the same draft. RG3 goes first round. I want to say Kirk Cousins went 4th round. Kirk Cousins ended up being the starter because RG3 got hurt. Dylan Gabriel is a very, very durable quarterback, but he's not big. And so if he does get a chance to play, he's going to have to protect himself. But Shedeur Sanders will get an opportunity. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but you don't get if you get two quarterbacks in the same draft, it's because you think that one of those guys is going to pan out. They hope it is Shador. Dylan Gabriel's probably going to end up being a career backup in the league unless he just, lightning in the bottle. But yeah, I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett starting, Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders both backups. But because Cleveland is probably going to be out of the playoffs and not going to be contending, both of those guys might get a chance to play just to, keep, because people are going to want to see Shador Sanders under center in that Cleveland Browns jersey, in that Cleveland Browns orange and brown.
All right, I'm going to start giving you two at a time here to finish out. Kyle McCord to the Eagles and Graham Mertz to the Texans. Both of those guys have career guys in front of them. I think Mertz and McCord both have good chances to be good backups in the league with Jalen Hurts and CJ Stroud.
Absolutely. I mean, both of those guys landed two really, really good spots. Both guys are one's going to a Super Bowl, Super Bowl champion. The other guy's going to a team that's won the division the last couple of years. So, yeah. They won't have to. They'll get a chance to play, especially in Philly, because they're gonna be probably blowing some teams out. They'll get a chance to see what it's like to get into the game. And CJ Stroud do a good job of staying healthy. So Graham Mertz, I don't know how healthy he is, because he had season-ending surgery last year. But I think both guys landed in really, really good spots.
Will Howard goes to Pittsburgh, where I think he has a chance to start, especially if Aaron Rodgers says, no, I'm not coming. I'm retiring. And then Riley Leonard to Indianapolis. I really like this fit a lot. I don't think he's going to start. I think it's going to be Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, but I could see him down the stretch getting a shot if one of those two guys struggle or both.
If Will Howard is the starter in Pittsburgh, it'll be because you put your money on the wrong person. And I don't know why Mike Tomlin and the company is doing it. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they're just going to wait on Aaron Rodgers to decide. Maybe Aaron Rodgers don't want to go to training camp. I mean, he's 40 years old, 41 years. I don't know, but they're going to wait on him. Riley Leonard, going to the Colts, I do agree. Daniel Jones went to Indianapolis because he think he could beat out, Anthony Richardson. And Riley Leonard saying, hey, man, Daniel Jones in 2 years has been. I think this is gonna be his third team in 2 years if you count the Giants. And I've seen Anthony Richardson the last couple of years. Outside of looking like a freak with his shirt off, he don't look like much with his pads on because he don't play. He ain't playing the position right. Riley Leonard might not only just be trying to play for starting spots. He might be. He said, "Look, I might not be the starter, but I could definitely be the backup. Whether that's Jones or Richardson, I think I could be that."
All right, last three, and all have unique storylines here. I'll start with Cam Miller from North Dakota State, 6th-round quarterback. Tom Brady, now the minority owner of the Raiders, he knows a little something about being a 6th-round pick. But they've got Geno Smith, who is 35. He's getting up there in age. They don't have a long-term starter. Aiden O'Connell, a third-year quarterback, I think could probably be a career backup. Obviously, Cam Miller's not going to play unless Geno gets hurt, but never say never down the road. If he develops and does pretty well this year, stranger things have happened.
Listen, last time Pete Carroll drafted a guy and I had a guy that was already started. I mean, it was Russell Wilson. Who ended up starting? That was Russell Wilson, and he never looked back. I'm not saying Cam Miller's going to do that, but Geno Smith, I mean, he's definitely resurrected his career. But we'll see because I mean, new team, new threads. But Cam Miller saying, "Hey man, I'm the quarterback I'm the quarterback you drafted when you came back to the league. Pete Carroll, it's my job to impress you, to win you over, and so you can trust me that if you do need me, I will be ready."
And three of his predecessors at North Dakota State doing pretty well for themselves in the league. Carson Wentz had starting experience, almost went to the Super Bowl, and now has been a backup. Easton Stick, a longtime backup for the Chargers, and then Trey Lance, number 3 overall draft pick. And then, I couldn't quite play, and now he's going to be a career backup.
Yeah, I mean, still in the league.
He made his money getting drafted where he got. Curtis Rourke from Indiana, former Ohio Bobcat, up there in the MAC before he transferred to Indiana. 7th-round pick of the 49ers. Brock Purdy was also a 7th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. Irrelevant.
So no, I'm just kidding. He's not going to start. Purdy's going to sign his extension here very shortly. But I could see Curtis Rourke being a backup for. Purdy.
I mean, solid. San Francisco still one of the best franchises in the National Football League. Has a really, really good coach. Just kind of came up short in the Super Duper Bowl. But yeah, I think he gets. Listen, a 7th-round pick. You watching them about to sign this big deal. You can learn behind a guy like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is the greatest Mr. Relevant in football. It ain't even close. It ain't. You can't touch him. Now he's about to sign for Josh Allen type money, but yeah, he's going to a good squad. He get to learn behind a franchise guy. It's worse things in the world to be having to deal with.
And then finally, last but not least, Quinn Ewers from Texas going to the Miami Dolphins in the 7th round with Tua Tagovailoa and his health problems. Just saying, the quick passing game that the Dolphins have and a stable environment, that's going to be a good fit.
Quinn Ewers is going to say all the right things, Smitty. But Quinn Ewers have seen the same Tua we've seen, hurt coming out of college. It went from hurt bodily to now it's concussions. Quinn Ewers back to back semifinals in the college football playoff, two straight years. And he goes in the 7th round. I'm just saying he's been a really, really good quarterback for Texas, even though he started out at Ohio State, missed his senior year of high school. I mean, he's gonna have a shot. I mean, if you can't find a way to throw to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and company, I mean, Jonnu Smith, who had a career year last year, no Mostert, it's A-Chain now. But yeah, I think he could be a really, really nice fit.
And that's it. That'll wrap this up. This is Winning the Division, episode 38. We'll be back next week with another episode. We'll continue to get those guests for you. Let us know how we're doing. Rate, review, and subscribe. Again, Keep Pounding Podcast Network, Fans First Sports Network, Tobacco Road Sports Radio on the YouTube. And for Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. Remember, you are either just in the division or you are winning the division like my Carolina Panthers will be doing this coming 2025 fall. We'll see if they can do that. We will see you guys next week here on Winning the Division. Take care.